right, welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks for joining us today. It is time now for our health news, sponsored by the Wellness Company and Under the Microscope today. This one is a doozy. Can tattoos prevent melanoma? I know. I thought I had to read it over like 3 times to believe I was really reading the headline. A new study in the Journal of National Cancer Institute says people who have had 2 or more sessions getting a tattoo show a lower risk of skin cancer. And the risk goes down by 56% for those who have had at least 4 sessions. Researchers are trying to examine if those who have gotten some ink are more cautious in the sun or if there's a true link between tattoos and the lower risk of skin cancer. Very interesting, because I think some of the blood cancers, if I'm not mistaken, I've read studies, I think some of the blood cancers rates are increased after tattoos, but skin cancer rates apparently go down. We're going to have to keep looking into this. I hope my kids aren't watching this. A new administration in Washington, D.C. has brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. The reality, though, is there's only so much the government can do, and if we really want to make America healthy again, it starts at home with each and every one of us, and that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from their doctors on this network, and you know that their products are the gold standard in keeping you and your family safe and healthy. With the Wellness Company, you can make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their series of prescription med kits. Kits contain an assortment of life-saving medication and guidebooks to tell you how to use the meds in the kit. Also, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products from parasite cleanses to methylene blue, weight loss, and more. You can stay healthy and live a longer and more satisfying life. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part, protect the health of yourself and your family. Go to twc.health/RAV. Today, give it an order. That's twc.health/RAV. Use the promo code RAV. It'll save you 10%. All right, I recently had the chance to sit down with Senior Vice President of the Trump Organization, Eric Trump, for a wide-ranging interview. Eric talked about his new book, Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation, coming out soon. And we also touched on the lawfare against the Trump family. Here is that interview. Welcome back to American Sunrise. With me right now, the one and only Eric Trump. Eric, what a thrill to have you in the studio. I don't think we've ever done this, so this is a big treat for me especially, and especially on the heels of the launch of your brand new book. We're so excited about it, Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. And oh, what a fight it has been. I feel like I have been in a fight, and all I am is just a rally-going patriot for the most part. But, your family has been so under the microscope. And I remember going way back to 2015 when I was doing some work with your beautiful, amazing wife, Laura, and hearing some of the inside stories. Yeah. But the reality of the matter is, if your father were not sitting in the Oval Office right now, you could be in prison, your wife could be in prison. Who knows what they would have come up with, right, as reasons to arrest you, your friends, your family, your siblings. Sure. Your children could be alone. I mean, this had to be in your mind while you were going through this last campaign. What did that feel like to you?
Well, in the book, I actually say that. It was either the Oval Office or it was jail. I mean, that's what they wanted. They did everything they could do to destroy the family. And listen, my father had certain constitutional protections as president. I had no protections, right? I mean, I ran the Trump Organization. They made my life hell. I became the most subpoenaed person in American history. Every single day, Gina, you probably remember it. I was getting subpoena after subpoena. They went to the darkest blue areas of the darkest blue states. I mean, Washington, D.C., downtown New York City, right? Corrupt judges. They went after him legally. They went after him with AGs. They went after him with DAs. They tried to remove him from the ballots of states. They tried to impeach him twice. They went after his Supreme Court justices. They gag ordered him over and over. They tried to take away free speech. They censored him. They threw him off of Twitter. They threw him off of Facebook, off of Instagram. They literally banned anything to do with Donald Trump on YouTube. They censored his campaigns. Every single campaign ad that talked about going out to vote, Google was censoring. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, they destroyed his friends, his family. They raided his home. They tried to break up his marriage. They tried to divide us as a family. They threw his CFO in jail for doing absolutely nothing wrong. And by the way, and that's just what's seen in the headlines. And I wrote Under Siege as a way to kind of talk about the true corruption of government. And I can tell you the New York Times, and I'm going to make New York Times bestseller list. I want to be number 1. They are not going to like this book. They're going to fight like hell against me. But the story had to be told. It had to be told from the person who dealt with the vast majority of those attacks, did so every single day outside the Oval Office. And I really fought like hell for a man that I love and a family I love and frankly, a country I love.
It's a lot to sacrifice. And your father is made of something special. Nobody who's ever been around him would deny that. I remember coming back from some event with him at like 2:00 in the morning, and all the kids that were around him were like, we're going to bed now, finally. And he's like, no. We have work to do. And off we went to do more work. That's just who he is. He's made of stuff that's just not it's almost superhuman. And you know this. But things roll off his back, Eric. I don't know that everyone is built of what he's built of. What role did faith play for you and Laura and your family as you were going through some of the deepest cuts?
Yeah. Well, I actually talk a lot about it in the book, but I mean, just look at the day of Butler, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it defies belief that an American flag could roll up in the perfect form of an angel.
Right.
You know,
right?
My gosh. It defies belief that he goes off script, looks up at a teleprompter screen and a rifle round from 130 yards away.
And turned his head perfectly at the exact
just
moment.
happened to nick him as opposed to kill him. That's a shot that can't be missed by a competent person with a rifle, right? And there's hundreds of those. I mean, I tell the story of Corey, obviously the incredible firefighter who's killed at Butler all the time. His wife told me that, that morning he woke up and said, Donald Trump is going to call me up on that stage. Donald Trump is going to call me up on that stage. And he knew something. And the wife's looking at him is incredible. I mean, his family's beyond incredible and saying, Donald Trump's not going to call you up on the stage. What are you talking about? Like there's going to be 50,000 people at the rally. How? Faith is real. Faith is real. God was there. God was watching. Go back to 2016. I mean, we self-funded the vast majority of that campaign. He did, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't know what a damn caucus was. We knew nothing about politics. I mean, like, I remember him calling me up, and Megyn Kelly was going to kill us on his immigration stance. He calls me up. He goes, honey, will you go on Megyn Kelly tonight? I'll never forget. I was driving down the highway to go home. And so I turn around to go back into the city. And he goes, will you go on Megyn? I go, Pops, you understand. I don't know a damn thing. I'm really good at building hotels. I'm great at the golf course world. I'm really good at commercial buildings and residential. I'm really good at, operations. It's what I did every day. I don't know a damn thing about illegal immigration. And here we were, right? And there was a sincerity to our family. Like when we got to Iowa, the first time there, and we spoke from our hearts, and we spoke about a father, and we spoke about a nation we loved, and, it worked. But again, he funded his campaign, right, against a political dynasty who put $1.5 billion into her race and actually knew something about politics. You better believe that somebody was watching down on all of us. And faith has played a big part of our life and a big part of politics and a big part of keeping him safe, It was Russian roulette throughout the last 10 years, over and over and over again. And somehow he survived and against all odds. And so that's a pretty remarkable thing.
You brought up Butler, Pennsylvania that day. We all know exactly where we were, like we do on 9/11. We all know exactly where we were in that moment when we heard about it. Where were you?
I was at home. I had my kids in my lap. We were watching TV. I was kind of mid-email and obviously heard the shots and a horrible moment, a horrible moment for everybody, a lot of people, right? A horrible moment for this country. And it also one that, and I got killed for saying this a couple weeks before. I was on Fox and I was talking about how I wouldn't be surprised if they resorted to that. I mean, again, they tried to take him off the ballots. They tried to imprison him. They charged him with 91 felonies for doing absolutely nothing wrong. They tried to take his name off skylines all over the world, the Letitia Jameses and all these people. They had run out. They tried to impeach him twice, right? And they had tried everything that they possibly could.
They knew they would stop at nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, what was their last remedy?
Right.
To try and kill him. And I'm still not happy with the explanation. I talk about that a lot in the book. I'm still not happy with the explanation that anybody's given. We know substantially more about Venezuelan gang members, El Salvador, that are being deported from this country than we know about the actual person who tried to. Why is it that you have one picture of the guy? Well, has anybody actually seen more than one picture of this guy? Why is it that a guy was cremated, 5 days later? Like, give me a break, right? Most family pets aren't cremated faster than a guy who tried to kill the 45th president, 47th president. Why is it that there's never been any report after the fact? I think it's left our entire country wondering what the hell actually happened. Isn't it amazing that they were able to break into the phones of every single January 6th person who walked into the Capitol and snapped a selfie, but yet, this maniac, they happen to not be able to get into his multiple cell phones?
Yeah.
I call BS, and I think most of your listeners probably call BS, and most of the country calls BS. And, I think my father's had a lot of grace when it's come to to this whole thing and putting it behind him. I think I've probably personally had a lot less. And again, I talk about it a lot in the book.
Understandably, as a political spouse, I can say that, there's nothing harder than watching someone you love be attacked wrongly. And it's literally all you've done for more than the last decade.
Yeah.
And one of those ways that he's been attacked is, you do something really magical that I don't think is really out there in the news. You have a very blended family. I literally see his exes at various things. Of course, your beautiful mother that you lost too long ago already. She loved him, loved your family. I saw her at parties with everyone. There's Marla, of course. One of the things that's really interesting is how you all make it all work. And there are a lot of blended families out there, either because of death or divorce. I wanted to give you a chance to talk about how you all make that work, because that's very unusual, but you all do it seamlessly.
Yeah. My mother was the greatest, and she always, she loved my father, always. They loved each other until the very end. She had the funniest quote. She said to Anderson Cooper, one of these guys who just berated her nonstop during the first election. She goes, maybe he wasn't the greatest of husband, but man, will that man make a damn good president. It was like the coolest Ivana Trump line, but it's amazing. It was never forced on us. I love Baron to death. I think he's an awesome kid. Tiffany is like the nicest girl you'll ever meet, incredibly close with her. Obviously, Don and Ivanka, inseparable with. But it was never forced, right? And that's kind of amazing. My mom, when she was buried, she's actually buried, in kind of like the family plot that we carved out to be kind of like almost the
at
family
Bedminster, right?
Family cemetery. Imagine going to your current wife and saying, hey, I'd like my ex-wife to be buried alongside all, right? It's not one of those conversations that usually happen.
Right.
Most of the time, the current wife would say, no freaking way, right?
Right. But it really defeats the narrative out there on your dad.
And yet during her funeral, it was the deranged family members all come together. Now, that was again, I talk about this so much in the book, like they wanted to break us apart. They wanted to divide and conquer. They would give everything. The amount of book companies that went out there and literally paid people to make up BS narratives, right? To interject their thoughts. And I had we have a kind of distant niece who wrote this book about, a couple 100-page book about our family and how we're a, terrible family. And yet, I think if I met her once in my adult life, like,
wow. You barely have even met her?
And yet there's I literally know,
and she's taken as some sort of authority.
I know my FedEx guy better than I know her, yet she's watching she's launching 300-page books about absolute nonsense. And it's just amazing, right? It's amazing how the world works, but we are an amazingly close family. Yeah. My father is a remarkable guy. He's doing a hell of a job. There has never been a fighter like that.
And he wasn't easy on you growing up. People think you lived this life of privilege.
He's a tough cookie. And by the way, my mom was maybe even tougher, right? Coming from a communist Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
No games, great manners, but we have an amazing family. He's an amazing guy. It was the greatest honor of my life to stand by him every single day. We fought like hell. Yeah. We fought like hell because we had no one else. No one was fighting for us. I went back and I tried to count the amount of people that endorsed my father in the 2016 race. And I think there was like two or three at like the very, very end.
Yeah. And
then, fast forward to 2024 and every senator, every congressman, yes, it would be our greatest pleasure to endorse you. And I'm sitting there laughing, saying like, it's just amazing.
And speaking of that, you lost friends during we all did. All of us who stood for him back in 2015, 2016 know what it was like to be booed when you walked in a room of people that you thought were your friends or supporters before that. But you had a lot of these people come back around, and some of this was pretty ironic. You talk about this in the book.
Yeah. Well, I lost some really good friends. Two of my best friends in the world. I were in their wedding parties, best friends with them every vacation, every weekend, and then all of a sudden one day I open up Instagram and one of their wives is, marching in one of the parades in Washington, D.C. in 2016. And
that hurts.
You kind of send them the text message like,
what the heck?
I literally introduced you to your wife. Like I was there the day you guys met. I was in your wedding. I was standing by your side and I get to see some vile sign, held up by her and your two kids who I adore. And no, politics is crazy. What's also amazing is how many of those people come back around after the fact, which is the amount of text messages I got, right after November 8th of 2017, and then obviously right after November 5th of 2024. Hey, buddy, how are you? Just checking in. I
really love an appointment.
I wanted to stay a little distant because I knew how busy you were, but really we were behind you the entire time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
that.
I don't want to use the word, but there's some FUs that go through your mind.
Yeah.
And
that even happens to supporters, right? Who stood by him, and then they hear from people from high school, like, hey, do you think you can help me? Can you get me a meeting with Eric Trump? I'm like, I haven't seen Eric Trump in a year, but yeah, sure.
But you know what the most beautiful thing is? I wouldn't trade one of those people who disappeared from your life for the amount of unbelievable people that have come into our lives. Hey, listen, you've come into our lives, right? Like, had it not been for the political journey, Laura and I would have never known you. We would have never known your husband, right? I can count so many of those people. And by the way, who really had like personal sacrifice throughout this whole process.
Yeah, talk to those patriots, Eric, because a lot of them have lost friends too. Maybe they went to a barber shop and now they're not even welcome there anymore. That kind of thing. Talk to them for a second.
Well, what I'll say is, we've won. We've won, and I mean that with all of my heart. Listen, we won the popular vote. We won all the swing states, right? We won every single state, meaning every single state skewed to the right, skewed Republican. Look at Miami-Dade County. 37 years, Miami-Dade County has never been won. We won Miami-Dade County by 11 points, every single demographic, whether it be race, religion, gender, age demographic, every single one of them skewed. And so the point is, the early people got abused, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, they won.
Yeah.
They were right. And now this country is in the right hands. We've become a nation of faith again. We've become a nation of the Constitution again. We've become a nation of common sense, no BS. We're not being ripped off by the entire world. You have a person in the Oval Office who's doing a great damn job and restoring safety to the streets, restoring family. What I hope we've imparted throughout this whole fight is a little bit of a sense of the American family and what can be accomplished if you punch hard and work hard. And so I guess to all those patriots, we've won. And hopefully I think everybody's probably seeing right now that their time and effort and sacrifices and lost friendships and other things, hopefully at this point is paid off, because I think they're seeing the country in a much better place than it was under a demented, deranged president who was using an auto pen every day.
Well, there's one other narrative that I think you might need to set straight, and that is people think that your brother Don, now I know you love him, but people think that he's the sportsman of the family. And I've heard rumors otherwise. I just wanted you to correct the record.
Oh, yeah. No, anything that flies through the air, anything that goes down a rifle barrel or pistol barrel or shotgun barrel, no, I've got Don. No, joking aside, Don's an amazing sportsman. He's the... I always call him the modern-day Teddy Roosevelt, and I don't say that lightly.
Wow.
Don and I grew up in the woods with compound bows. Man, the amount of time we spent there, and my father, my grandfather on my mom's side got a shooting from a very, very young age, and it's been a massive part of our lives. Competitive shooting, all the shooting.
You're really good.
We really love it. We really, really love it. It's ingrained in our kind of DNA, and it's every bit of our heart and soul. And so my father had kind of the real estate and golf. My mother's side had really, really the outdoors.
Yeah.
And so we're a blending of all three.
What a beautiful balance. And how American. Couldn't get more American than that. I wanted to take 1 second to ask you about this because the left would love to attack you on you guys trying to study our economy in every way you can, not just with your father being president and all the risks you've taken therein, but really in building businesses yourself. And one of the things you've done is established this World Liberty Financials, and the left, of course, coming in, wanting to attack you for this stable coin. A lot of people are excited about it. A lot of people invested in it, but they're seeing it's a conflict of interest. I wanted to give you a chance to speak back to them about your motivation. I want to understand your vision behind this.
So the greatest irony, in 2021, I started getting letters every single day. Capital One took 300 bank accounts away from us, meaning I get a letter. Your accounts are hereby closed, right? That's the essence of the letter. We were debanked, we were deplatformed by everyone. Capital One, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America. You go down the list. First Republic Bank, right? Everyone, Shopify went after us, the biggest brokerage firms, right? Every one of them deplatformed us. And I'm sitting there saying, I don't have a chance, right? We don't have we need rails to run the business. And I realized how fragile the banking industry was in this country and around the world. And that's really where we got into crypto. And I really quickly realized, and that's World Liberty Financial, I really quickly realized that there's nothing that the big banks can't do that crypto using blockchain can't do better, faster, cheaper, more transparently. I always give a couple of analogies. Why is it that you want to go finance a home? Why is it takes you 120 days when you and your husband have probably been customers of the very bank you're going to use for financing for the last 30 years? Why is it that every single week as a real estate guy, I'm waiting to send out a wire, right? And I'm desperately trying to get out the wire before 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, right? And by the way, if you don't get it out by 5 o'clock, guess what? The intended recipient, or if you don't receive it by 5 o'clock, they're not going to get the money until the following late Monday or Tuesday.
Why is that in our day of technology?
Yet I can grab my cell phone and I can send you Bitcoin. The other crypto company we have is American Bitcoin, which I just debuted on the NASDAQ last week.
Yes, congratulations.
It's absolutely soaring and flying.
Yeah.
But why is it in the world that I can send you crypto, I can send you Bitcoin, I can send you USD1, which are a stablecoin, and it can go from my wallet to your wallet 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. On a Saturday night, you can be having a glass of wine and receive a payment instantly at virtually no fees. And yet the SWIFT transfer. So the reality, the banking system is broken in this country. The banking system went after 50%, including all your listeners, by the way. I mean, half of your listeners were debanked as well.
Yeah.
And so we fell into crypto to solve a problem. No different than we fell into Truth Social to solve the problem that, my father and all of us had been, either silenced or thrown off of, Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and the rest of this. So, and then they come out and say it's a conflict of interest. So you cancel us. And then when we pop up a solution, a way to get around the banks that canceled us, you say it's a conflict of interest. I mean, you literally can't make it up. But the crypto endeavors are like...
You do make it sound pretty humorous.
World Liberty is like one of the great companies that's being built right now anywhere. We're really proud of it. American Bitcoin is one of the great companies that's being built. I'm really proud of our listing last week. And it's really become a major facet to our organization.
For somebody who says they didn't know what they were doing when you were told by your father or asked by your father to go to that Megyn Kelly interview all those years ago, you seem to have come a pretty long way. You've got this book. You're extremely articulate in an interview. You actually answer the questions before I get a chance to ask them. That's a real skill, by the way. What about a President Eric Trump someday?
It's honestly, it's a brutal world. I never rule out anything in life. I don't. You better make sure. With my father, I think 2016 was the right time for him because it was probably the first instant in our lives where, he looked at me. I was 33 years old. Hey, honey, I want you to run this company. Right? This is a multi-billion-dollar, many billion-dollar, global real estate empire that became very complicated with politics. And I don't think he could have done that 4 years earlier. But you better make sure that your family, is well positioned, has a lot of backbone. What a great point. They will attack your kids. They will go after them. They will try and destroy your life. They will try and imprison the people around you. That's how the Democrats played this game. And so, we were lucky with my father. We had The Apprentice. We had notoriety. We were on all the shows. We had our own voice. We had some backbone. But man, is it a brutal process.
It's a family thing. That's a great
Now, at the same time, we better hope the business guys get into Washington, D.C. Because honestly, when you hear Kamala, as she was running for president, she's talking about she's talking about inflation. She doesn't know what inflation is. She's talking about, price gouging. Or what did she say? She actually said price gauging. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
And they're saying that this is a person who's going to run a $33 trillion economy, and they can't even get out a basic word. And so we better hope we have more great business people in this country, men and women who actually step into the role. At the same time, it's a nasty business. It's ugly as hell, and you better make sure that the people in your family are ready for it.
What about your father on Mount Rushmore? I know patriots will want me to ask that because they love that idea, Nobel Peace Prize notwithstanding, but Mount Rushmore, it just seems like after everything you all have been through, everything that he's endured, it just seems to follow.
He deserves it.
Yeah.
He deserves it, and he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize so many times over. I've literally been in that office. I was in that office for one conversation where he literally stopped a war. In fact, I was in the office recently for another one where he stopped another one. The amount of children, and I say children, young kids right now that are running around the world who are alive based on the fact that he stopped conflicts that otherwise would have spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
There are moms and dads out there who have their kids based on calls that he's made and conflicts that he's ended kind of before they really got out of control. Mm-hmm. And they have probably zero appreciation that many of their children and many of the people they knew would not be there had it not been for him. And he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. And to watch so many of these presidents in the past get the Nobel Peace Prize who did nothing other than, fund the Pentagon's war machine and create conflict all over the world and enter these 20-year wars in Iraq and Afghanistan that cost our country trillions of dollars and thousands of lives, yet these guys are getting Nobel Peace Prizes. Yet Donald Trump is the one president who's actually never taken us to war. He's never gotten into a war. He's done everything humanly possible to keep us out of the war, and yet they kind of begrudge him that honor, which he deserves more than anybody. He deserves that Nobel Peace Prize. He deserves to be on Mount Rushmore, and I think in time he'll get both.
Well, the book is under siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. I understand it's a very candid book. It's very personal. It's very heartfelt, biographical almost. Congratulations on it. All the best to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
God bless you and your family.
I think New York Times is probably going to do everything they possibly can to knock me down.
So we all need to go buy. What are the tricks? Go buy it the first day.
Go buy it right now. It's on Amazon.
Pre-order right now, right?
Actually, DJT my father did the audio. He wrote the foreword to the book. He did the audio, which was really nice. Laura did one of the forewords to the book too, and I read the entire book, which was a hell of an experience. It was fun. So I put my heart and soul into it, and it's a great read, and it helped me take out the New York Times because they're going to do everything they can to keep me from being number one. You better believe that.
Got to be
the knives are going to be out.
Too big to rig, right? We got to make it too big to rig, guys. Where have we heard that before? Eric Trump, thank you. God bless you.
It's good to see you.
All right, you too. Back with more American Sunrise right after this.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics. President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Breaking news from Real America's Voice.
We begin this Wednesday morning with breaking news. We are working to update reports of a deadly shooting at an ICE facility in Dallas. Reports out of Dallas say that 3 detainees are shot. More are injured after a sniper went on a shooting spree. Local police say that sniper was set up on a rooftop near that facility. Investigators are confirming that the shooter is dead, saying that he died of a self-inflicted gun wound. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem posted this message on X, writing, "While we don't know motive yet, we know that our ICE law enforcement is facing unprecedented violence against them. It must stop. Please pray for the victims and their families." Again, no word on how many total victims there are at this point, but we will continue to update you on this developing story as we get new information. Again, guys, as we bring in Dr. Gina and David, a shooting at an ICE detainment facility there in Dallas, Texas. We're hearing that 3 detainees were shot, several more people hurt and said to be in critical condition, and we'll continue to update all of this throughout the day. Sad start to this Wednesday, guys.
And meanwhile, Gavin Newsom wants to strip them of resources and take away any of their protective gear and all the rest of it, not let them wear masks. But it's okay if you're a criminal and you want to go into any store and rob, and you can wear a mask then, but not our ICE agents. I mean, this is,
Well, we've got to connect the dots here because apparently, according to early reports that are apparently confirmed out there, we'll see, but the detainees were the ones that were shot, not the ICE officers. So that's interesting to me. Let's unpack that exactly as to motive and what's going on here. Having said that, ICE officer assaults have been up about 500 to 700%. So we've got a couple competing, I don't want to call it narratives here, but you can be sure that you've got conservatives on the one hand saying, okay, ICE officers under attack. That's a fact, by the way. But does this play into that? We don't know. That's the truth.
Right.
And then you have the other side saying, that there's a lot of anger against illegal immigrants and what Trump is doing, and and how dare they. So I don't know exactly which way this is going to go. It obviously not only bears monitoring, but we're monitoring it in the next hour, and we'll get you what we have.
It doesn't change, David, regardless of what happened here. It doesn't change that it's got to be about the most dangerous job other than President of the United States, just to be in that environment daily, and they deserve all the protections that they can get.
Well,
absolutely.
That's a great
we'll continue
point.
to update this story, guys. We do have to get.
Go ahead.
Guys,
No,
we
you
do
go,
have to
T.
get to weather. We've got weather standing by really quickly. We'll talk about this, and like I said, continue to update the story throughout the morning. Let's get over to meteorologist Adrian Hernandez. Adrian, good morning.
Good morning, Terrence, and we're still tracking that cold front across the country, but you guys out in Denver did see some snow yesterday up in the mountains, but regardless, it was rather cold. And speaking of cold, this cold front is going to continue to move across the east portions of the country, bringing better rain chances across portions of the southeast and the northeast today. And then as we get into the last couple days of the work week into the weekend, more rainfall is expected along the coastline. Of course, this is going to bring forth the potential for severe weather. This is the outlook for Wednesday and Thursday. The yellow highlighted is what's expected for today, and then the red highlight is what's expected for tomorrow. Now, the main threat, and primarily the only threat we should be seeing, will be damaging wind, but it's not unlikely to maybe see an isolated hailstorm or some hail conditions over the next few days. So looking out in the tropics, out in the Atlantic, we have two invests we're watching with pretty high chances of development over the next week or so. But the models are a little bit all over the place in the sense of where it's going to go in the next several days. But we have to continue to monitor this. If you are living on the East Coast, especially in the state of Florida, I would advise that you continue to stay updated with all of the weather alerts, especially into the next coming days. Heat across Texas has started to subside and is continuing to move off towards the east. That's a look for your coast-to-coast weather. Back to you, Terrence.
Thanks so much, Adrian. Appreciate that reporting. All right, let's get you back over to David. David, that's attack at the ICE facility in Dallas, of course, making big headlines. In fact, I see Just the News reporting on this as well.
Yeah, speaking of Just the News, let's bring in John Solomon, the editor-in-chief of Just the News. John, breaking at this hour, what we're discussing, the ICE, the shooting at the ICE facility in Dallas. What can you tell us? What's the latest?
Well, we're still in the fog of war, so we don't know a lot. We know that at least 3 people were shot, and that the shooter is dead. The shooter is dead from a self-inflicted gun wound, according to Kristi Noem. Who was shot is a question. The police originally told local media that it was 3 detainees. Now they're a little bit more vague about who's been shot and whether there may be more than 3. So I think we're still settling in. The incident just happened. The police response is still ongoing, and I think we'll know a little bit more shortly. But it's a reminder that we live in a violent era, and people too often take, for whatever reason, violence into their hands to settle whatever scores they think they have. Something motivated this person when the police approached them after they were in a sniper position, according to local police. This person took their life. We believe it's a man. But that's all we know right now. It's still very early in the process, and you're still working through the fog of war that you always get at the beginning of an incident like this.
John, you still have people saying that these ICE agents shouldn't be doing what they're doing. Clearly, America is safer. We know the crime statistics. Go over some of that with us. What exactly our ICE agents are sacrificing every day to keep America safer?
They're removing mass numbers of Americans, but they're starting by removing those who pose the greatest threat to American society. So people who are violent criminals, people who already are convicted of crimes, people who are known to have committed crimes on U.S. soil. So there isn't just a numbers game going on. It is a strategic game, a strategic process of trying to get out of the country those who have the greatest chance of committing more crimes, more violence, more harm to American society. And I think that gets lost in the daily news coverage, that what we're doing is really targeting the people we know are bad hombres, people who are bad players in society, who not only came across and broke the law by illegally entering the country, but continued to pose violent threats or violent crimes while on our soil. And I think that strategy has resulted in a really remarkable reduction in crime in lots of places, because you're not just getting people off the street, you're getting people that have a high propensity to commit crimes. I think that strategy gets lost. Now, in addition to that, in addition to the daily removals that are going on, a large number of people who came across the country, into the country illegally under Joe Biden, are self-deporting. And so you're seeing this mass exodus, unprecedented in American history. Some people are leaving voluntarily, some are leaving as a result of law enforcement proceedings. But we're beginning to winnow down that extraordinary crush of illegal immigrants that came into the country under Joe Biden. It's a years-long process, but the early results are impressive. Then you combine that with what Donald Trump has done in the Capitol, city with putting a National Guard and federal police officers on the street. Crime is down in Washington, D.C. Spirits are up in D.C. And there's a sense that law and order is just being restored to the country. We went from a lawless and disorderly period under Joe Biden to a clear era of law and order. And if you commit a crime, there's a consequence. If you commit a crime, you're not getting put back on the street. And those major changes are not just statistical. They're also psychological. They're also political. And I think the president and his team has been able to change the dialogue to, hey, this isn't some social experiment. This was a really bad idea that put American safety at risk. The cashless bail, the open borders, and I think he's winning that argument. The polling shows he's winning that argument.
John, I realize you're not a law enforcement expert, but I'm going to ask you this question anyway. Just because it seems that we're having so many cases of a sniper perching himself on a roof. In this case, it seems that's once again the case. Charlie Kirk, of course, a sniper on a roof. The first Trump assassination attempt, a sniper on the roof. Is this the modus operandi these days of assassination attempts or people trying to commit crimes, finding a roof and firing on someone?
Well, you now have always a concern, which I started to hear a couple of weeks ago, that this is of the copycat syndrome. Well, one person does it, get claim, and then another person comes up with the idea and moves to whatever their political or intention is, and they mimic that. One of the challenges that sniper attacks create is that unless you have a significant security presence, unless you have a counter sniper team like the Secret Service has, they're very hard to guard against. They are truly ambush attacks. And I think that we need to be keeping an eye on this. A lot of the law enforcement officials I talked to the last couple of weeks are very concerned that post Butler, post the assassination of Charlie Kirk, that this would become a more common methodology for attack. And it's just very hard to guard against. And that's what the bad people who carry out these attacks are counting on.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, John, by the way, before we let you go, what else are you working on for Just the News? When people go to the website, what's clicking? What's happening?
We've got a really fun story today with Chairman Barry Loudermilk, who is now at House Judiciary, but still overseeing the January 6th investigation. Some profound comments he made on our show the last 24 hours that he's zeroing in on the FBI informants that were on the ground that day on January 6th. What did they know going into that attack? Did they report it to their supervisors? And did their supervisors withhold that information from other law enforcement who were dedicated to protecting the Capitol that day? He is very concerned that there may have been a setup, meaning the informants were actually reporting potential dangers and it was not getting up the chain of command and out to the frontline people. So we're working to try to get some documents that have been transmitted to Congress on that. Really great interview with Barry Loudermilk, very candid, very clear. He has access to information that had been withheld from Congress for more than 4 years. So I think this is a moment of reckoning, much like we've seen in the other weaponization probes. I think we're going to learn some pretty jaw-dropping stuff about January 6th in the next few weeks, including about Jack Smith. Stay tuned. We're working real hard on this to try to get people the truth they've been denied for a long time.
Cool.
That is great to hear, John. I love to hear about any follow-up for justice with the J6ers. Thank you so much for everything you do, John. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Great to be on the show, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right, coming up, Dems turn on each other as Kamala sparks a civil war. The backstabbers, the brawlers, and the details on the broken party next as American Sunrise continues.